what's the first thing we're going to need?
Control air.
Good guess. Always. What else do we need? Make up feed, because we're going to drop water from the DC heater. We better put some more water in. You're going to need make up feed. What else do we need? Circuit breakers is good. We need circuit breakers. We're going to have to watch the firing rate. You don't want to lose pressure. We've got to warm up the 150-pound line, right?
That's why you cracked that 5 pounds.
Yeah. And then what else do we need? We're going to need main circ, which is circuit breakers. Going to get that started. Condensate pump. What do you need first, though? I mean, yeah, you can set that up. It's going to take time. We'll go through the steps. But before you can put gland seal on the turbine, what do you have to have?
Lube oil?
Lube oil. What else do you have to have?
Air?
Jacking gear. You have to keep rotating it because that hot steam is only supported on either end with a bearing and a heavy wheel in between. So it's going to be turning, which means you're going to have lube oil. Those two things you've got to have.
And the jacking gear is like an electric.
Yeah, it is a small motor. It's like 6 revolutions an hour. Very slow. I mean, on the screw.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're going to go load snapshot. It's number 24 in here. Load snapshot. What's the first thing we got to check? Voltage and fires. Okay, so now our voltage is happy. What's going to happen to our voltage as we load up? It's going to drop, so we have to keep an eye on that too. We got a turbine feed pump on, water level's good. We got just over 500 PSI, but we're probably going to have that drop as soon as we start warming up the 150 pound, which isn't showing anything at the moment. And you're 35? What's up with that? Oh, control air. Good point. First, who's our first? Control air. Get the control air on, and then that'll make a difference. Then, while she's getting control air, what do we need on the circuit breakers? We come over here. That's it. Main circ. Yeah, that'd be fine. And then what do we need? Lube oil pump number 2. That's good.
Condensate
You can go ahead and get the pre-lubes. And number 2 condensate pump. Okay, turning gear. We need turning gear. Number 1 circ pump. And I think on number 2 there's nothing, but there is a lube oil pump on the emergency switchboard. Yes, please. So somewhere here there's. Yeah, that's it, number 1. Okay, so we got that. So we got makeup feed going. Is makeup feed an automatic? Send somebody up to go and cut in your 150 pound, bypass the regulator, another 3 turns. Also, while you're there, in the corner on the fiddly, get the spill valve lined up through the regulator. Okay. Is that? Yes, you can do that. That's the dump.
Yeah.
With the spill valve, he'll get it up there. You have no control. This one you can get. This is for the auxiliary exhaust pressure being too high. That dumps to the condenser. Open that up. We're good there. Makeup feeds in auto. We're happy. All right, so what else can we do? Look at your pressure. It's dropping. You better do something about that. Mr. Dackins is our specialist on this. Get it in manual. Look at your fuel pressure. Watch your smoke. Increase the firing rate. All right, your pressure's high enough. I noticed. Succeeded with the smoke.
Keep on increasing, or
Just get rid of the smoke.
okay. Smoke's going.
That's as high as you want to go with one burner. In fact,
Too much oxygen.
Well, is it above 4? Okay, so at this point, let's go for it. And now this pressure is going to drop because we're in manual, which is fine. Watch your smoke when it cuts in. We just want to keep it going. We're losing ground at this rate. The 35 is on the line, the 150 is coming up. So what else do we need? We need saltwater cooling. So we come over here to main circ. There's nothing we can do. That's a bilge level. We'll ignore it. Open the suction, open the discharge on the main circ. And we're going to come in off of low suction here. There's also a scoop on here, which we'll talk about when we get to the part test. So now go over here to condensate. Yeah, you're right. Condensate. Click on main condenser. And now we're coming here. Let's click on the Z-chest valve.
Mr. Rigg?
Yeah.
Shouldn't it be the circ pump number 2? Is that the one?
It really doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
This is on the emergency board. We got this one as well.
Okay.
So now the pump is flooded. The valves are open. It's a low RPM pump. We can go actually now and start it. And it'll continue to open. These things got big, long-winded valves. You ever switch over from high to low suction on cruise?
Yeah.
Takes an arm and a leg in 3 weeks. So we got that. How about condensate? Let's open up the condensate suction.
Our voltage is dropping. Should we?
Yes, you should. Increase the voltage.
No, what we did last week we lost.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. But I
It's
guess.
the wrong one.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
What are friends for?
that one.
Okay.
Yeah, it is.
So now,
That one. No, that's income.
don't worry about that yet.
Yeah.
So number 1, lube oil pump. Let's open up the suction, the discharge. Let's pull up the lube oil. It's on auxiliary systems, lube oil. And now, it's kind of a mess, but you've got suction through the suction strainer, discharge, suction valves are open, discharge strainer. Let's line up the cooler, just so it's available. And now go ahead and start number 1.
What about the bottom one?
Huh?
To start heating up.
Oh yeah, heat up the sump, because it's 68 degrees, we need 110 to be running. And start the lube oil pump. Yeah, this is open. Start the lube oil pump, and you'll see lube oil pressure coming up. So now we got lube oil on.
What are the differences?
One is saltwater service. It goes to the turbine feed pump, lube oil cooler. It goes to small stuff. Main circ is going to the condenser. So we got that. We got saltwater flow. We got all of that. So I'm going to get off the screen for a second. I'm going to go back to lube oil. And if we go to bearings, we come down here and it says turning gear. Let's go in on the turning gear, and then we can come over here and start the turning gear. So now we got lube oil, we got the turning gear on, rotating slowly, we got salt water going through the condenser. Now we can use the dynamite line to drop water from the DC heater down to the hot well on the condenser. So we go to condensate, and now we can open this valve here, and the hot well will come up. So we got that. While we're doing this is going to take some time. Let's cut in on the 150 pound. We're good. Let's shut the bypass, open up the regulator for the 150 pound upstairs in the fiddly. We've got the recirc. Let's open up the recirc and the bypass on the recirc for the condensate recirc, which is over there by the number 1 burner.
already closed. It's never open. That's not it, I don't think. Not myself.
Okay, I cut out one burner, adjusted the oil pressure. We're smoking white, nope, smoking black. Because we were, look at the pressure, it's up to 700. We have to stay within that 3.5-hour limit, right?
So does, when you're firing up the plant, like in a real life scenario, does someone stand here and monitor it and slowly bring up the
You can
pressure?
have the first, the second, watch standard down there probably. Okay, so that will control the firing rate. We got the 150 on. What else can we do? We got lube oil. We can check our hot well level. Here's your hot well level right here. Hot well level and C-temp. So at this point, do we have enough in a hot well to do anything with? It says we got 0.5 inches. It'd be nice to have more, but we can live with it. Open up the vent line because the lowest pressure is actually the eye of the impeller at the condensate pump. And if you have water coming out of the hot well that's at saturation and hits a lower pressure, what can it do? Some of it will, yeah, flash. So the vent line is very important on a condensate pump because it's running in a vacuum. And then it goes into the inner condenser, then the after condenser. This is a charging line for the loop seal. The loop seal is about 8 feet tall. It's all the condensate from that first stage going back by vacuum drag to the condenser. There's a pressure difference between the inner condenser and the main condenser. If you don't have the loop seal charged initially, you're going to have trouble. You're going to lose vacuum because it's going to equalize and pull in some air. So once we get the steam on, the power steam, 150 pound on the jets, we can shut that. But for right now, we want to make sure it's open. And then we're going to go through the after condenser, then we go to the gland leak-off condenser. Where does those two sections drain to? ADT, obviously. That's worth knowing. And then we come back and we recirculate. You didn't open the bypass, but I guess I'll live with it. So now we're going to start the condensate pump. We can start the condensate pump. Go ahead, you're the man. And you'll see it. We didn't close the breaker on there, did we?
I think it's number
We did
2.
number 2.
No, but no one turned on the emergency? When the emergency switch was
Okay,
on?
I did turn it on.
we can do that. See if that works. Now we got it. And you'll see it bounce because it's going to be intermittently losing suction. That's normal for a real condensate pump import. It's hard to get enough research. So we got that, and I'll open up the vent line on this one and shut the vent line on that one. So we're good there. So now we're recirculating, it's cooling, coming back, going through. And what's the condensate doing when it goes through all these heat exchangers? It's getting warmer, isn't it? So we've probably got enough condensate, 0.9. I'm going to say that's good. I'm going to close that. We'll go to auxiliary systems. We'll go to auxiliary steam. And now we got the 150 pound on. If I click on this, look at your gauge on the upper left there, you'll see you have 3 psi on the gland seal steam. And that's just making a cloud there on the gland on either side of the turbine to exclude the air. It's positive 3 psi.
That's 150 pound steam going in?
Yeah, it goes through a regulator though. It goes through this regulator right here. So it's 150 going into the regulator and it's 1 psi or 2 psi coming out. And you'll use more gland seal in port than you will at sea. Because in port you have vacuum all the way back to the throttle valve on the high pressure turbine. High pressure turbine's in a vacuum now. At sea that's not the case. That's under a positive pressure and the low pressure turbine only would be in a vacuum. So you actually need more gland seal. depending on the load at sea that you do import. And there's a regulator to dump or add, which we'll talk about in the part task trainer. So we got that, and now I got steam to the air ejectors here. As soon as this thing, okay, now we're good there. I have steam to this. They're in sets. If I click on one of these, you'll see, trace it out, it goes to the forward nozzle on the after set, right? It's a little confusing. And now, is our vacuum coming up? Because if it's not, you got a problem.
Yeah.
Upper right.
Yeah, it's coming at 5 inches.
Yeah, and right is forward. Yeah, they're in sets. They're like this. There's two sets.
So right is forward and left is back.
Click on one and then trace it out. That's the best I could give you on this graphic. And what'll happen, it's usually a little faster to warm up the turbine casing with just the after set on. Because that means it has less vacuum. It has a higher pressure. The saturation temperature at a higher pressure is greater. It heats it up quicker. Or we can go ahead, trace it out, make sure you get the right one. Putting all four on will make it worse. And now you'll see it coming up the rest of the way. As it approaches the final point, it'll start slowing down. This 5 time constants. You guys have probably heard of that somewhere. And now that's it. That's how you get vacuum up. So now, guess what we're going to do?
Again.
Do it again. So shut the condensate recircs. Go ahead, set up the 150.